All right, looks like we have the green bars and the live counter is ticking up, so we are now live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Storytime Network. Uh, Today is our third annual Yuri Manga Sampler.
I'm back.
Guess who's back? Back again. But yeah,
Boy.
it's been a hot minute since we've talked about Yuri Manga, but that's why we have an annual thing for it. And we have a nice little selection for you. So, with of, of varying lengths and theme.
Indeed.
So without further ado, let's start with 5 Seconds for a Witch Falls in Love, which is a single volume series, I guess. I don't know if series is the right term for it.
Basically a one shot, isn't it even single chapter? I'm not even.
It's a two shot with another.
Yeah.
With a one shot in between the two chapters.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Yeah, but it's very short and pretty sweet. I think it's one of those. They had a gimmick they wanted to do, and they did that gimmick, and then they're out.
Yeah, I get it. At the same time, I feel like it would have been a little bit better if it was a bit longer.
Definitely. I thought the characters have legs. Like you could do things with the characters. Definitely.
If this is like a 3 volume series, it would be great.
Yeah. I will say we have things that are longer that probably could have profited from being shorter, and we have this which could easily have been at least a little bit longer.
Honestly, I think the problem with a lot of these, a lot of the ones we have today are like they could have been longer.
That's true. Like
the common
there
thing
are
a lot of these have.
But I think I mean we were doing this for the third time, and I think at this point we're kind of going for the less popular, more obscure stuff, and
we still
that's
have some
where a lot of
names here and there.
I mean, yes, we do. There are thankfully still big names coming out, but I think as soon as you go for the more obscure stuff, you instantly get the shorter stuff because it's just
they can
sustain. Yeah, they can sustain a long run because nobody knows them.
Because I'm looking at the list again, and outside of continuing series that we that are carrying over from previous lists, the only one that is both concluded and longer than 4 volumes. There's only one that's both concluded and longer than 4 volumes.
That we'll get to it, but that's basically an anthology also. So
it's a half anthology, I'd say. But
yeah, we'll get to it later. But
yeah, this one I
do think lots of shorter ones.
Yeah, I do think this one definitely could have stood to be a bit longer. But I do like the dynamic between the two leads.
Yeah, I think the characters could definitely be elaborated into something longer. It does have some setting, world building stuff going on, which could easily have been elaborated on. So yeah, I think this is a good one to read. Like it's fun, but it kind of left me wanting more.
The one shot that separated the two halves of the story was definitely the weakest part of the volume, though.
Yeah, certainly.
Which is a damn shame, because the rest of the actual core story of the Witch and the Witch Hunter is really good.
Yep.
But yeah, the whole thing with the high school girl and her angelic/demonic stalkers was a bit wonky comparatively.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing, like it's Japanese, sometimes they have their weirdness in there. That's not really...
This isn't even like a top 10 weirdest things we've seen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not even like one of the weirdest things in this list, so...
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will. Speaking of things that could have been longer.
Oh, yeah. Well, not just things that could have been longer. Some that went way wild towards the end. But we'll get to that as well.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, that's going to be a fun one to talk about. But yeah, no, this is a good one. It's only 1 volume, so it's not like you're going to be sinking a ton of money into it if you want to get it. But
yeah, it's a fun read. Like, yeah. And also, like, it's called 5 Seconds Until a Witch Falls in Love. That's what it is. Like, there isn't even much to say about it because that's just what it is.
Yeah, it's exactly what it says on the tin. You are getting what you asked for
Yeah.
with this. And you know what? Sometimes it's all you need.
Yeah, maybe that's why they couldn't make it longer because, you know.
Maybe. But I think we could now move on, unless you have anything else to add.
No, not really.
Okay. Moving on to the second entry. Catch These Hands.
Yeah.
This one was pretty fun, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was very sweet. I think it did work itself kind of into a corner with the emotionally detached thing
A little bit, yeah.
because it basically needed its entire running time to move past its own premise.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it was good. Like it's not like it wasn't a fun read. It's just kind of almost more interesting as like an exploration of like personal and societal growth and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I will say, comparing this to things we've done before, the closest comparison I had in mind was Donuts Under a Crescent Moon, which is better.
Yeah, unfortunately, Donuts on the Crescent Moon is like not
I
something
mean, that's
that
really, really
it's
good.
yeah.
Like the
It's a
comparison, like
it's a
inviting that comparison alone is already a mark of quality.
yeah.
Just when I read this, I had pretty recently finished Donuts and it was like, yeah, it's that, but not as good.
Yeah, the thing is Donuts is like top tier Yuri.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the dynamic between the leads kind of reminded me of what Donuts did.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's not like beat by beat the same thing or anything. It's just yeah, their relationship kind of reminded me of that. And
This
that
is grown up
in the end was kind of
delinquents. Yeah.
yeah, and in the end that was kind of unfortunate because because that comparison is tough.
I mean, on the plus side, the characters are very likable, and
Oh, absolutely.
they have a fun back and forth. It's much closer to like rivals turned friends turned lovers than well,
Yeah,
actually that's
and
kind of a common thing in a
especially
lot of these. We have like
yes, we
several
have a
rival
few of
mances
these.
in
Yeah.
this one.
I think with this one, especially once it turns to full-on romance, it just gets very, very sweet. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
very cute read.
Yeah. Not
But
to
again, it kind of it sets up a premise and it kind of needs a bit to work past that. Because like that happens every time when you portray one character as kind of emotionally detached, you need to like that's obviously the character flaw you need to resolve in your story. But
mm-hmm.
this doesn't have again, many of these are very short, and this is one of the short ones, and that
This
kind
is
of
4 volumes, which is on
yeah.
actually kind of on the longer side for a Yuri manga.
I mean that's the unfortunate thing. But it could have easily sustained another volume, I believe,
Yes.
because of that, because it needed so much time, and it's not like it's very well done. It's just
Mm-hmm.
because it's well done, it needed time, and yeah, that just cut into the running time overall.
Yeah. I do think like I don't always harp on like the technicalities of these, but like I think the author's face game was on point with the art.
Yeah,
The artist was
I
very good
would
at
agree.
designing very fun faces and reactions.
And I mean that's the thing. Like this is as much a comedy manga as like not necessarily like 4 joke a minute, but like yeah, it's very much into the reactions of the characters and stuff, and like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
reaction comedy stuff. And you can see that in the premise. Like the premise is a joke. The premise is delinquents who used to fight and still do basically
Yeah.
because one of them never moved on.
Yup.
Which is also kind of a theme with a few of these, like
Mm-hmm.
passage of time and moving on, and yeah,
It's nice to like we kind of throw these lists together a bit haphazardly, but
yeah,
somehow
it's
we
kind of
wind up
like
with
I just
themes.
yeah, I just throw stuff on there I've read and think it's interesting to talk about, and that's it.
Yep.
So yeah,
Hey, if it works, it works.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is still a really fun one, and it does have a little bit of the whole both the rivals to lovers thing and the uh learning to understand feelings and having and dealing with emotional disconnects from other people.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is kind of the strongest parts are the like dealing with societal expectations and where am I, where should I be, where do people expect me to be. Um, that might be like the strongest stuff in this one.
Yeah.
But another one we'll get to is much more on the nose about that.
Yeah, we'll get to those.
Yeah.
But we are doing a
No,
big.
it's a fun read.
Yeah, this one's a fun read. 4 volumes long, which again, kind of on the longer side, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Much like Yuri anime, which never get more than one season. Yuri manga tend to be over pretty quickly. Like
5 volumes
like
tends to be the higher
yeah,
end. Like again,
stuff like Bloom Into You, which had like 8, 9 volumes.
8 volumes of
Definitely
Bloom.
the exceptions. Yeah, and 3 light novels too. Like that's definitely the exception.
Yeah. Bloom is the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, and I mean it's still the reigning champion. I don't think since Bloom came out, I don't think I've read anything
It's next to
that I would
impossible for.
strictly categorize as better.
There are some that come a bit close, but nothing I think will ever dethrone Bloom.
Yeah, I think Bloom has the advantage of being is because it gets 8 volumes. It's pretty comprehensive, and many others just kind of poke at things and then have to move on because well, we only have one more volume, and
it also doesn't do
the
it also doesn't do the thing that so many Yuri manga do and like spend a whole ass volume or two dedicated to one of the side couples.
Yeah, by the way, I figured out what, or I wouldn't say I figured out, but I have an inkling why that keeps happening.
Why is that?
uh, Last year at some point, I read the Ask Iwata books. I don't know if you're familiar. Iwata was the former CEO of Nintendo, and he did these interviews with other people from the industry. And they were called Ask Iwata, but then he died very young of cancer. And they just collected a few of his thoughts basically and published a book. And I read that, and that got me into reading just about basically everyone who was early Nintendo people. And in that endeavor, I learned that Shigeru Miyamoto bases his games on like a specific type of story structure that is very common in Asian stories, or specifically Japanese stories. And that story structure is basically we present you with the status quo, we present you with the problem, then we show you something else, and whatever you learned with this something else, you use to solve the problem in the final act. And I believe that is the reason you always get like 3 chapters devoted to someone else.
There is actually one that we're going to be covering in a little bit that I think does that a lot better than some of the others do.
Yes, I mean it's always a struggle because just on a technical level, it's difficult to do because you spend time with these people and suddenly you're supposed to care about these other people.
Yeah,
some do it better, others not.
A lot of finagling, but yeah.
Yeah.
Bloom, I think, is one of the better ones because it spends so much focus on the primary couple. And I think Catch These Hands also manages to do that because it is almost exclusively focused on the one or both of the main duo.
Yeah, there are almost no side characters. Like it's basically just them,
and the side characters are never like the focus of a chapter.
Yeah, exactly. Like they are strictly side characters.
But yeah, still fun, cute read, and it was a bit longer of a tangent than I expected. But yeah, this one's a pretty nice one. But moving on to something that's a bit darker.
Yeah. That's definitely...
Dear No Man. So
yeah, that's definitely one of the weirder ones.
Yeah. When I was looking at our initial list, I was like, not a lot of genre variants here. Let's throw something a bit more spooky in.
Yeah. I think this one deserves a summary because it's just the premise is kind of out there.
Oh, please.
So there's this girl and she can see ghosts basically. And through events that happen in the first chapter, which are basic anime setup stuff. She basically joins an agency that is devoted to either helping ghosts reach the afterlife or, if they're dangerous, eliminating them. And gets partnered with one of these ghosts, a very powerful one. Like, they are classified from basically
C
the
to X,
classification
I
doesn't
believe.
really make sense. Yeah, it's C to X, but it's C, B, A, and X is just the strongest ones.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
the X types are basically the agents for this agency, the ghost agents. It's always one ghost and one human mortal, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's the premise. And it's kind of weird.
lots
From
of
there
stuff
on out.
about lingering regrets in this one.
Yeah, it's very much a story about regrets, about mourning, just meditations on death, basically. It's also like really dark. Like the ghost she gets paired with is like the ghost of a crow that was once saved by a human, but then another human basically caught it and tortured it, cut off its wings, and it's just what the fuck.
Humans can do
Why?
really fucked up things, as it
Yeah,
turns out.
and that's basically that's why it's in there, because they want to say, well, humans can be this, humans can also be that.
The duality of man and all that jazz.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's like that gets some story focus. Like the crow ghost's lingering regret that keeps them here as a ghost is basically, I don't get humans. How can they be so nice but also so cruel? So yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting, especially because like some of the ghost designs are really fucking crazy and disturbing.
Yeah, some of them are really cool, and some other ones are kind of okay.
I mean, so
I think this one strongly felt. I don't know if this is true. I didn't do any research, but this strongly felt like an artist did like some artwork to post on Twitter and with the characters and was like, hey, this I can do something with this.
maybe. Hard to
Because
say.
the designs are so strong.
Yeah. Bazu especially has a very evocative design.
Yeah, with the pest doctor mask and
Yeah.
the suit and stuff. Yeah, that's very. Yeah, like it felt very very Twitter art to me. Not in a bad way. Like there's one of my favorites on here is the Twitter thing, but yeah. And this one gets super fucking weird near the end.
Yeah. It does. But at the same time, I do appreciate that it, like, wrapped up to a conclusion.
Yeah, definitely. I think this definitely also. I think structurally a few things about this one could have been done differently, and that wouldn't have hurt. I'm not going to say that would have made it better, but that would have just been options. I will say this one isn't really much of a romance. Like
No.
the
It's very
the
low
Yuri is
key on the
very
Yuri.
very subdued in this one. Yeah, and I thought like there's a time skip at the end, and I thought it wouldn't have hurt to have a second time skip between the volumes, just like 5 years or something to make their close connection a little more.
Yeah.
Like
I
to make
mean,
it
this
click
could
a
have
bit
just
more.
used another volume for that.
Yeah, I mean that too. This easily could have been a lot longer, but given that we don't have that, I think a time skip wouldn't have hurt, because as it is, the whole thing takes place over like 3 months or something, and that is
It's not enough time.
that is very short.
I mean, the whole thing about it is like it does tie into the theme of ephemerality, and
Yeah, exactly. Like everything
moves on at some
changes.
point, and trying to cling to old regrets just makes you monstrous.
Yeah. And also just you have to move on. Like you even if you like you can't wallow in your survivor's guilt or whatever, you have to move forward with life.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely cool monster design, some fun action. Again, pretty light on the Yuri, but a decent read nonetheless.
The whole reincarnation bit was also interesting.
That was That I honestly when they introduced that, I was like, no. Like
Look,
the whole thing is weird with ages.
oh yeah, Like
Just
Bazu
because
looks like an
no
adult
one,
woman, but like she's
yeah,
probably not anywhere near that mature.
no, and the main character is like 14.
Yeah,
And
it's
so basically, you have this implied bromance between the adult woman and the 14-year-old, and there's no point to her being 14. Like, she could have just as well, like, this whole thing could have taken place in university or something. It doesn't matter how old anyone is. But in the first chapter, they specifically call out that she's 14. So you have
child
that,
labor
and
law is
then you
one of
have.
those.
Yeah, no. And then you have the whole reincarnation thing at the end, which, of course, doesn't specifically imply romance, but still, like, kind of does, and that's just weird.
It's a thing. It's a whole
Yeah.
look. There are a few others. There are a couple others on this list that deal with the age gap, and I think most of them handle it a little bit better than this. But
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this one isn't really a romance, so it doesn't have to handle it as much. The thing that stood out to me in this one is that the whole age thing basically didn't have to be there.
yeah, it does feel a bit
Like
unnecessary.
she easily could have been 18 or 24 or fuck, she could have been 40, I don't care. Like she could have been any age because the story is not tied to her being in
Yeah.
school or something. Like it just doesn't matter. And the same with the resurrection at the end, she didn't have to resurrect into a kid. She could have just turned up as her adult self, and I would have been fine with that. It's all magic mumbo jumbo anyway.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if they're
yeah,
going for a
that's
much more firm reincarnation thing, then you have to reincarnate from the beginning. Like,
yeah, sure, but it's
still,
2 volumes. Like they didn't need to go with firm rules on anything. They could have
yeah,
just
no, it's a
no
whole
pun
thing.
intended. They could have just winged it.
Yeah, god damn it.
Yeah, yes.
Actually,
yeah, so
looking at the
I think
list, age gaps aren't really prominent on most of these. Only a couple of them.
no. I mean, one technically, kind of, sort of, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but
Yeah, I don't know, but I think honestly this one wins if you don't read it as a romance. If you like that vibe, that's cool, but it doesn't have to be. It could just be a fun supernatural thing.
yeah, all the romance elements are really light, outside of one character who's really into Mashiro. But
And she's a joke. Like it doesn't.
she's a joke,
like,
and also it like ties
Yeah.
into her regrets to begin with. So
exactly.
at least it fits the theme.
Yeah, and also like yes, she's super into her, but it doesn't really read romantic. It's more. I don't know. It's something like it didn't read it didn't read as romantic to me. It's more like an emotional attachment, but not in a romantic way, and if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So yeah.
But yeah, any other remarks you have on this before we move on to something
I
else?
don't think so.
Okay. All right. Moving on to one of your favorites on the list.
Yes.
The guy she was interested wasn't a guy at all.
Yes.
After all.
This might actually be my favorite on the list. Stuff we've talked about in previous years, notwithstanding. So this one is first of all basically available for free because the artists post them to Twitter and they get translated by people online. You can read it online wherever. First of all, this one is stylish as shit. Like, it looks really, really good.
Yeah, no, it's really good. The character designs are excellent. The vibes are immaculate, and also just like those fits.
It will also never get an adaptation. Like I think it is reasonably big currently, and it's getting like physical releases, but it will never get an anime adaptation because it would basically feature exclusively licensed music from Western rock bands from the 70s onward to today, basically, and no one's got money for that.
Look, JoJo couldn't get away without like a couple like one or two songs per season in the end credits.
Yeah. Like there's if they ever adapt this, they will have to find a super clever way to do it. And like visually you could adapt this. Like this is basically drawn like storyboards. You could take this and make an anime from it, but I don't need it to be like it reads super well. It comes in short bursts, like when they
It's like
they
4
post
pages per chapter
it's
outside
like
of
4
it.
pages per chapter. Yeah. So that's really neat.
There's over
Uh,
80 chapters out, but it's only like 2.5 volumes worth of content, basically.
yeah, it's you can basically read it super quickly. And again, the premise is in the title. It's about two girls. One of them works at a record store, and when she works there, it's basically just a whole scene kid get up.
And she looks
And
super
the other girl,
androgynous as a result because of the
yeah,
mask and all
and
that.
exactly, like she wears like a white hoodie and pants and a mask and stuff. And this other girl has a crush on the person working at the record store, and then basically figures out that that's the wallflower from her class.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and
And
then I mean it's a very slow burn, you could say. I mean,
yeah,
if 2.5 volumes count as a slow burn.
yeah,
uh,
it's just a lot of chapters with only a little bit of forward momentum so far.
yeah, and it's honestly more about vibes than anything
Yeah,
else. Like but it works because the characters are, to me,
yeah,
a man in his mid 30s, super believable.
yeah. I mean, also it does help that like there's a level of realism in there as well, especially with the two
Yeah,
with Aya and her reaction to finding out that the guy
yeah,
she was interested in wasn't a guy at all.
yeah. Yeah,
Just
no, and it really helps that they name check actual musicians and don't
mhm,
do that weird anime thing where it's like something with the wrong name. It just makes it feel very lived in.
mhm. Also,
And
it
yeah,
helps that the reveal happens pretty early on, so like that
yeah,
the misunderstanding gets is out of the way pretty early.
exactly. I'm currently reading another thing that isn't a Yuri, so I don't want to go too much into it here, but it's called Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You,
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one.
and it's really really good.
But there's the
But
whole double identity thing at the core of that one,
exactly,
yeah.
and like it's just kind of silly.
Like
It's
there's
kind
only
of silly to read 2 volumes of a manga and no one figures it out. That's just, eh,
look,
I don't know.
it's the Clark Kent thing. It's the Clark Kent thing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you accept it because it's a story, but it's refreshing that in this one, this is really just the setup, and everything
Yeah.
after that is honestly just them becoming friends and whatever follows. Like,
Yeah. I mean, there's been they put out a couple of volume extras basically that show them in the future, like 5 or so years on,
yeah,
living together as a couple, and it's like, so we know where this is going. How do they get
yeah, I mean,
there?
yeah. Uh, this is also very much, I mean, that's true of most romance, especially manga, but this is very much also a coming of age story. Like,
Hmm.
it centers the coming of age aspect.
Yeah,
Like recently in a recent chapter, they like went to their first music festival, and
it's really neat.
like, yeah, it's really neat. It's really good. Like, it looked, honestly, even if you don't give a shit about the story, it looks amazing. Just look at it.
The art is
It's so green.
excellent. I fucking love the lime green backgrounds. It's
Yeah,
great.
I am honestly super curious how the printed volumes will look.
I have no idea. It's certainly going to be interesting.
Yeah, I have mine pre-ordered, and I think
Oh, okay, it's
like
available.
in German, yes. I don't know about in English, but in German it is, and I think I do recall the publisher basically saying the first edition is gonna be green, and after that it's gonna be black and white. Which would make sense because printing color is just much more expensive than printing black and white.
Oh, okay. It's coming out
So
in
yeah,
October over here in the
I'm
States.
super curious. I think same here, like ish, but I'm super curious how the printed volumes are going to look, and I'm just very happy it's getting picked up at all because
Oh yeah.
it's really good. And it's again, it's a Twitter thing. Like I wouldn't fault anyone at a publishing house saying no. Why should we pick this up? This is people can read it
But
for
it was
free.
very popular is the thing.
It still is, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, again, it's free to check out. So there's basically
You can
no money
use
barrier.
basically any site for it. Cough
Yeah,
cough. But yeah, like there I
I
would
mean, it's not
recommend
even piracy because it's
yeah.
available for free.
Yeah, it's available for free. I would recommend picking it up when it does come out officially in, print.
Absolutely. Again, I already have the first volume pre-ordered, and I am just super curious how it will look. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. But moving on from one music-based Yuri to another. God, there are a lot
Yeah,
of these.
another theme.
Hello, Melancholic.
Yeah.
So this is the one I was referring to when I said, like, oh, hey, there's one that has the solution is found by exploring the side characters.
Yeah, definitely. This one absolutely does it.
This one executes it a lot better, I think. But it does
Definitely.
commit one sin that popped up in the last one that I am annoyed with, and it's the whole. There is an extra chapter that was not in the volume release that should have been in there because it's good.
Yes. Yes.
God damn it.
I read that later and found it online and read it and was like, come on.
You can't keep getting
What
away
are you
with
doing?
this. Come on.
Yeah. Absolutely. But no, this one is also definitely, I think, of this list in the top tier.
I'd say, yeah, we could probably divide the list into like 3 tiers worth of quality, and I'd say this is in the top tier.
Yeah.
Guy She Was Interested also up there, and
yeah.
couple of other carryovers and one
Yeah.
or two others.
Also in my notes, there's in all caps 14 chapters, and there's still a lengthy side story.
Yeah. This one actually used its time very economically, I think.
Yes, I think it's just on the border to being overstuffed. Like if it had any more crammed in there, it would have been too much.
Yeah. But I think they managed to use their time very well.
Absolutely. I will also point out that I really like the artwork on this one.
Oh yeah, it's very nice artwork.
Yeah. And also, I'm a sucker for music things because I'm a musician myself. So
look, let's count how many music ones there are on this list. There was the previous one. There's this one. There's at least one other. Nope. There's one other one on this list. But there's a lot of Yuri with music as a theme. And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I still like it.
No, absolutely. And because
Music's
it's all
great.
what euphonium should have been.
Shots fired.
Yeah, no. I love euphonium, but there's no question that it's very baity. But no, I think Hello Melancholic is really good in. Again, it has the stupid side story nobody needs, but when it explores its main characters, it does so really well. It also sets them on a good path. Like even without the chapter we should have gotten, like when it ends, you know where it's going. It's very good at setting things up and
the thing with
paying
the
them
extra
off later.
chapter is the extra chapter is much more dedicated to the side characters and getting them fully resolved, and I really appreciate them doing that because, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Just come on, guys.
I just like I don't understand the reasoning behind not putting it in the final volume.
Yeah, especially in the translation. Like in the original, I don't really care. Like I think people have much easier access to it in Japan. But in the translation, just print it. It's not even that many pages. Just put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
It's like what, 15 pages or something? 20 pages tops?
Yeah.
I do like
At
the
maximum.
side couple though, because they do have a different vibe from the usual side couple.
That's true.
Like, it's very much a case of, oh yeah, they're just like straight out friends with benefits, which is not a kind of relationship you see explored in most romance series, to be honest.
It goes very interesting with that because it introduces them being friends with benefits early on, and you would generally assume that the side story will be about them, quote unquote, getting together for real. But it's not really. Like
they were already effectively together, and it's just like,
yeah,
one of them.
That's the thing. They are just
one of them was just late to the realization of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's also just as side couples in these things go. This side couple is much more on the nose. Like often you have that side couple thing where it's like, well, yes, obviously, but we can't say it because we want to keep the romantic tension like to the main couple, and what we'll talk about later kind of does that to its detriment, I believe. And no, in this one,
It's just
basically the
out of
fact
notes.
that they are friends with Benefice is the catalyst for the actual romance to happen.
Yeah. Like it gives a lot of impetus for our two mains to, you know, think about their feelings and explore their relationship with each other. And
I also
they have a very sweet relationship too, I think.
Yeah, no, and they like the thing I often say about romance is that often my problem with many especially mainstream anime romance is that they are basically just they get paired up, period. And no, this romance is very much centered on them having things in common and where those intersect and where those don't intersect. Even we at first think they do, and how they find their own future with each other and with their own interests and hobbies, and that's very well done. I also really love how fucked up the setup of their band is. Like,
The instrumentation is all funky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I love how Minato is just like super scrungly and stuff. She just has a really fun
definitely.
aesthetic.
And she never gets those. Like, she doesn't even look like a pretty anime girl.
No, no, she looks like a gangly teenager.
Yeah, but like I think in a very good way because like she's not even I'm gonna call it anime ugly or manga ugly. She looks like teenagers look. She's too tall for her own skin. And she doesn't know where to put her hands, and like she's always nervous, and that's just again I really liked the art in this one. The art was very expressive, especially her.
Yeah. Like my one issue is that Emma of the five main characters is the least explored by far. Like,
Yeah,
there's just a little bit about her in the last line that's like, herm. Okay, I'm ignoring this. Okay, moving on. Like, it's not really anything. Like, I get it. Like, she's mostly just there to be support to the main couples. But
also it's just 14 chapters.
yeah, it's a really fucking short series. Like, I get that
Yeah.
they couldn't fit one more character worth of development, especially since like a lot of the development is pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it goes hard pretty much.
Yeah. Still, I think it's a really good one.
No, definitely. I really enjoyed this one.
I definitely
Like I was
recommend
a bit frustrated along the way. I will say that, but not in that oh my god, fucking get it together way, but just in the way the story wanted me to be.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you idiots.
Just yep. But yeah,
But yeah,
there's only 3 volumes. I think it's definitely unlike a lot of shorter series. I think it uses its time very economically and doesn't waste its time too much or try to overstuff it either. It borders on the latter a little bit at times, but I still think it uses its time well. But if you do read these, do read the epilogue Christmas short story.
Do find the extra chapter.
Yeah, the Christmas epilogue is definitely something you'll want to track down.
Yes.
Yes. Moving on to our first carryover from last time.
Yes.
I'm in love with the villainess.
Oh boy.
Shit got fucking wild. Holy shit.
Yeah. So, the final 2 volumes. Jesus Christ.
Dude, like my jaw fucking dropped when I got to the part where it revealed that nanomachines were like the big plot twist of the set.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Like, turns out it's not an isekai at all.
It is and it isn't, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it really like it really gets very, very science fantasy in a fucked up way. Like I love it. I can't see people not really vibing with it.
It's
And
a
even
very
like in
interesting
the
handling of it for sure.
yeah. And even in the afterword to the final volume, the author basically said, "Yeah, I kind of stopped doing the Yuri romance thing. I just kind of wanted to tell this fantasy story. I just wanted to do this."
Honestly,
Uh,
props to the author.
no, absolutely. Like it's not like it's not a romance at all anymore. It's just that it's noticeably lessened in the final two volumes.
Also,
Uh,
also Inori gets less and less subtle about the hey, treat queer people better thing.
yeah, no, it's also very much that
Like,
to yeah, just more of that.
and you know what? I'm glad she is just completely brazen with that message because it's a message that often needs to be said.
Yeah, especially in Japanese media, as we
Mm-hmm.
will get to with another one. But yeah, I'm in love with the villains basically turns into a science fantasy thing, and gets maybe a bit too anime with some of its action set pieces.
Yeah.
That makes sense in something that is written. Uh,
I did also get a
but
little bit frustrated with how prolonged some parts of the conclusion were, but I am ultimately happy with where it ended.
yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. Like it kind of I'm not gonna say gets away from itself. It just
I think it
Inori
prolongs itself a
obviously
bit too much.
wanted to do this thing and either didn't listen to their editor or just didn't have one. I don't know. Um, yeah, I think it could have been streamlined in places, but ultimately I think it's still good. Like it doesn't. There's no noticeable drop in quality. It just
Mm-hmm.
gets kind of stuffy and kind of up its own ass a little bit, maybe. Uh, and yeah, it just goes crazy because basically the first three volumes operate by this very normal anime logic of isekai game world stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the entire reasoning why that is true is so completely stupid.
It's
I love it, but
cracked,
it's
but
so dumb. It's
it's so cool, but
so
it's so goddamn dumb.
yeah, exactly that. Uh, so yeah, that's definitely like it takes a sharp turn. I still love it,
Mm-hmm.
and I will say this is still the best version of that story
Mm-hmm.
by far. Unfortunately, by far.
I
Uh,
have yet to read the POV sequel uh from Claire's perspective.
I've read the first two volumes. The third one isn't out yet, and it's good. But honestly, there's no point to reading it if you haven't read the original.
Yeah. No, I figured as much.
And also, if you don't want to read it, you're not really missing out because it elaborates on some of the side characters. Like Claire's posse gets a bit more screen time, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and she gets a roommate that's not in the original. Who's basically a need and never leaves her room conveniently. Like it's still good if you like these characters and this world, but it's not. Again, like it doesn't even feel like a standalone. Like reading this, if I hadn't read the original, I would probably like it less
Mm-hmm.
because it very much leans into you knowing the original.
Yeah.
Like the second paragraph ends with, and this annoying girl was going to be the love of my life, and it's like, okay, good, yeah,
Yeah.
I know that, but if I didn't know that, this would be kind of yeah, okay, why am I reading this?
Yeah. I will say like I am some of the bits the whatchamacallit throughout the main story were interesting. I did like that there were some not divergences, but what's it when you branch off a little bit to say something else?
Tangents.
Tangents, right? Some some plot tangents here and there that explore the side characters really helped, and a lot of the side characters are really charming in this series.
Yeah,
Some more so than others, but like it's a very good ensemble overall, I think.
I would agree, and I think what all the books do, like the original ones as well as the spin-off, is you often get at least once per book, like just a chapter from someone else's point of view,
Mm-hmm. And some of them are good,
and that's
and
yeah,
some of them
and
are
that's
less
super
good.
interesting. That's honestly super interesting in the spin-off because when in the original you would get a chapter from someone else's point of view, basically here you get the chapter from Ray's point of view.
Yeah, that's fun.
And that's just kind of an interesting way for them to like engage with each other, the spin-off and the original. Like for example, the discussion between Ray and Claire's father in the first volume.
Oh, okay.
Of course, the spin-off doesn't cover the last 2 volumes. It's only the first 3, so we'll never get to the insane shit with the almost time travel. And
by that point, it is like
Fucking
Claire and Ray are switching perspectives anyways in the story.
Yeah, exactly. By that point, it's about them as a couple, and
so the switching POV would be redundant by that point.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes perfect sense. It's just God, it goes so fucking hard in the end.
Oh yeah, like some of the crazy magic shit that happens too, like all the shit with the Demon Queen and Dorothea is pretty insane.
Yeah, just it's all insane. Like all of it is insane.
Yeah. Also, it's like I do love
starting with magic is basically a consequence of us having achieved fusion reactors. Kind of. It's like what?
We're going to cycle we're going to cycle civilization through
magic based and tech
versus tech based.
And it's just what is happening? Like yeah, it goes insane. I'm not gonna pretend it's like it makes sense. It's absolutely insane. Like it's coherent, but it makes no sense.
I mean, there's a decent justification for it, but it is absolutely unhinged.
No, again, it's coherent. Like none of it you read it and go, well, this throws all the other books out or anything. Like it all makes sense in and of itself. But looking at it from the outside, it's just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But to me, in the best way, like that's exactly my type of crazy. Again, I can see people saying, nah, that's not really my book, and for them I will say stop after volume 3. That's fine. But if you're into insane shit, read volume 4 and 5.
Yeah, no. Volume 4 and especially volume 5 just goes off the fucking cap. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, spent quite a bit of time gushing about this one. Let's move on to something a bit on the lighter side.
Much lighter.
The Kaze-san series.
Yeah. I mean, the Kaze-san series is basically your meat and potatoes, Yuri. Like, it's very low stakes. It's all very sweet and cute, and yeah, the sequel steps it up a little bit.
A little bit more tension, a little bit more exploration of things, but
that's really just yeah. Honestly, I think the sequel works really well as what it is, because if you told me there's a Kaze-san sequel where they're in university or in college, that is exactly what I would expect this to be. Like, yes, they have to deal with stuff, and they, like, I think the current volume, like, it releases super slow because there's like one new chapter every 2 months or something.
Honestly, let the author cook.
Yeah, absolutely. I buy the volumes as they come out, and there's like one a year. But that's completely fine with me because I just enjoy reading this.
I adore this series. But yeah, it's just so delightful.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is. And it's like, well, we have our first Christmas away from home together, and now they are moving in together, and it's all very, very low stakes, but very sweet and very fun. And if you enjoyed the original Kaze-san, you will absolutely enjoy this.
I do like that they explore like bits of anxiety and jealousy throughout the relationship, because it's a sweet relationship, but that doesn't mean it's without tension. And I think it's important to depict that as normal.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Like, it goes into these things not as aberration and not as something to shy away from, but just as something that is a part of being together and just something you need to work on together.
Yep.
And it also, again, it addresses that thing that I often don't like, where there are things they just don't have in common. Like, they don't really get the other's hobbies. And that is a source of anxiety, because is she going to pick someone who understands her better? Or is she aren't these people better for her? And and it works through that, but it doesn't do that in that like super high stakes way where everything is like, oh my god, what if we can't make this? It's over, because it's always positive. It's always, of course, we're gonna get through this. We just don't know how yet.
I do also think it's very fun to have these little side characters who are just, you know, there to react to the relationship and not realize what
Yes.
it actually is.
What the relationship actually is. Yeah, absolutely. I also like, I enjoy that, and I also think it's a bit of commentary, at least, on like, again, societal expectations and stuff like that. And also, I always liked the art in Kazakhstan, and it's still really good. Like,
It's
have
very
super
soft,
good.
very
Yeah, it's all very round and plushy, and
it's very pleasant to
cute.
look at.
Yes, definitely. It's very easy on the eyes. Also, great reaction faces.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And I mean, we call it the Kazakhstan sequel because that's what it's marketed as, but it's basically
It's
just
just a
still the same
continuation
manga.
of this.
Like, yeah, the manga just went on. It's kind of like with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, funnily enough. It's just the next chapter, but the next volume was no longer called Kazakhstan End, but now it's just Kazakhstan and Yamada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone who liked the original Kazakhstan, even if you just saw the anime and liked that, I would absolutely recommend this, because it's just more of that. It's fun, it's soft and cute, and very relaxing and comforting.
Yeah, it's delightful series, and I would highly recommend it. It is currently at 8 volumes available in English right now. I don't know when the next one will come out, but from what I
Probably
know,
next year, because there was already one this year.
Yeah, there are enough chapters out that I would not be surprised, because there's definitely enough chapters to collect into a volume.
Like, I can probably look that up real quick. Let me see for a second, because I am subscribed to that thing, and the next volume is not even scheduled yet. Who knows?
I'm shocked. Shocked, I say.
Yeah. So probably, honestly, next year, because if it were out this year, we would know.
Well, if it were out anytime around by October, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like looking at the chapter counts, like there's definitely enough for another volume.
I mean, maybe they are currently compiling it. I don't know the process.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. It's just such a delightful series, and
yeah,
I am
like, it's not entirely no stakes. Like, again, there's a little bit of drama and just a little bit of character stuff, but it's all low key enough that it never goes into like stressful territory. It's always a fun read.
Yes. We probably won't have enough material to discuss more of this if we do this next year, because
yeah, no, maybe in 2 years.
2 years, maybe 3 if we're lucky.
Yeah. Also, honestly, I have no idea how long they're gonna keep this one going. Like, it could basically end.
It could sustain itself indefinitely if the author wanted to.
That's the thing. Both are true. Like, it could just end, and it could just keep going until they no longer want to draw it. It's yeah.
Like, the author could conceivably just draw their whole life together, like getting married,
exactly. Like,
adopting a dog.
We've already moved past the end of school thing, so at this point they can just keep it going forever. And I will say, I appreciate that. I think too many things just end.
Yeah.
And of course it has to end at some point, but
sometimes the end makes sense for like the character arcs or something, or like the storyline just doesn't feel like it should continue past this point, etc., etc.
Yeah. Honestly, it's what many people often say. Like, this is honestly a relationship manga. It's not really romance in the sense of them getting together, because that happens in the first volume. It's about them being together, and not in that fake out way where it's like, well, they're technically together, but it's the same stuff that happens in Getting Together stories. No, they are actually together and working that out.
I mean, let's be honest. How many times does a will they, won't they story actually go with won't they?
No, that's true. What I mean is, there's nothing on this list that is an example, but like a few years ago, there were a lot of animes specifically that were like, and in this one, they get together in episode 1, but then it was just like, for some convoluted reason, they have to date in episode 1, but that just comes down to them having met and said, we're dating now. And then doing all the stuff you do in a Getting Together story, just that they are on paper already together.
Yeah.
Like Over the Moon for You and
To be fair,
Protocol was kind of like that. Yeah.
Tonikawa is a silly series, and
of course, I'm not saying that's bad. It's just this conceit of a story about people in a relationship is often not that, and this one is very much that.
Oh no, I agree. I agree. Yeah. Again, you can't go wrong with this series. It's a delight.
No, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that the author also doesn't shy away from the fact that they are, intimate with each other, because that's often part of a relationship.
Yeah. And also, like, in the arc I'm currently on with my volume releases, it's like they are going to try and find an apartment, and they say, like, it might be an issue.
It might be, yeah.
That we're together, so we have to kind of figure it out. Do we hide it? Do we tell people? What do we just do the roommates thing? How do we approach it?
Yeah.
Of course, something else we're going to talk about goes much more into that, but
that's because that one's a Josei series.
Yeah, exactly. That's much more equipped to actually do that.
And this one's a bit fluffier than that. A lot fluffier than that.
This is honestly made of cotton. Like, yes.
This is
so fluffy.
Almost certainly the most lighthearted series on this list.
This is basically the Yudo camp of this series.
Yes.
Of this list.
Only one that I can think of that even comes close is a couple entries, and yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as good as this one.
No, really not.
But yeah, we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But we should move on from Kaze-san to the longest series on this list thus far. Kiss and White Lily for My Dearest Girl. So with this one is a half anthology, basically.
Yeah, exactly. This is one where we can't complain about the side story because it's all side story.
Well, it does have the continuous running arc throughout, all but like 1 or 2 volumes with the main couple. And it does give a lot of development to the main couple, to be fair, which is good.
It doesn't. It's honestly kind of funny because you do get an extended side flashback to the main couple for a change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like maybe 3 volumes in which they're not like either the main or secondary focus throughout the series, and of those 3 volumes, 2 of them are focused on like the 2 main secondary couples. No, all of them are focused on the main secondary couples.
Because because it's a semi-anthology. It's just basically the thread running through all of them is that they all go to the same school. So they pop up in each other's stories, and that's how you get constant development, because they play a part in this story and either take something from it or you just see how they develop concurrently to the current story.
Yes.
But that's basically how this is structured. They all go to the same school.
And all you just of them follow have connections with one another to some degree or another.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's probably the most organic way to do it.
Yeah, the printed volumes come with like little author's notes at the end, and reading those, it almost felt to me like it was like a collection of doujins or something. Like, they just kind of drew these things and fit them all together, and it works, and here it is.
Honestly, I think it handles it really well. Some of the couples I think are better than others.
Like, that's the thing. I think some of them have kind of like maybe just handled unfortunately, or have like weird undertones.
Like, I will say, outside of the main couple, the strongest ones are the ones that get the 2 volumes of Focus Apiece. That'd be
Yeah,
Chiharu and Izumi and Mizuki and Moe.
yeah.
Those two couples get a lot of focus and they get a lot of development, and it works. They are both very well developed.
Yeah, it works for them. Towards the end, they introduce the poly relationship, and that one is kind of
The poly relationship,
not.
I think, is okay. I think the
Yeah,
author
but it's
does a
not.
lot better in a future work of theirs.
Yes, I was gonna say I think it's not super well handled, and it gets a little bit.
It's too abridged, I think, to
Yeah,
really.
it just kind of throws it at you and goes, well, here it is. Let's
Yeah,
move on.
yeah, like it's not as well handled as I think it could be.
Yeah, I will agree to that. Like that was kind of the thing that stood out to me most on the more negative end because yeah, everything
It's
else
not the
really
weakest
worked.
couple, I would say. I would probably
No.
say that the couple focused in the 3rd volume is probably the weakest, in my opinion. Just because like there's that underlying layer of toxicity with one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Whereas I
Well,
think
again, I think just the poly thing is kind of unfortunate because
yeah, the
it
author
just yeah, it's not super well handled in this context.
yeah, the author has shown that they can handle it better with
Yeah,
what was it, the Guide to Love Triangles, I think it was.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
That's the English title of it, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, and it does it much better than
yeah,
this. I think like that really was the big
yeah,
oopsie for me. I'm gonna say.
but yeah, out of the couples that only get like a volume of focus, of primary focus, I think Sawa and Itsuki and Hikari and Nagisa probably get it the best because you got the childhood friends and the rival romance thing going on with
Yeah.
those respective couples, and those are
Yeah.
handled pretty well. Also, the couple focused on in volume 7 is the weird one because it's not technically a couple, but it's like maybe the whole kind of sort of maybe possibly not incest thing.
Yeah, that's.
That one's the
I mean,
wonkiest
that's
one
another
for
thing. Like,
sure.
basically, it's 10 volumes, and each volume has one core couple, and they get weirder as it goes along.
I wouldn't say they get weirder necessarily
Oh, not weird. They just
because volumes 8 and 9 have more conventional ones.
yeah,
Like volume
just
eight's
yeah,
the rival
they
romance, and volume 9 is the breakup makeup couple.
yeah. No, not weirder. That's the wrong word. It's just yeah, they explore a lot of dynamics, and
Yeah,
honestly, probably in 10 volumes, it's pretty normal that not all 10 dynamics work for everyone,
yeah, exactly. I do
and
think
that's
like
probably how what reading this feels like to most people. It's like you get 1 or 2 volumes where you're just kind of like, I guess.
yeah, I do like that the author explores 2 different angles of the rival romance thing between Ayaka and Yurine on one hand, where it's a lot more intense developments with those two, but then you got Hikari and Nagisa who have like just like the pettiest bullshit going on. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do like most of the couple dynamics. It's just like volumes 3 and 7 probably have the weakest
Yeah. But
dynamics.
again, like 10 volumes, that's relatively long. It's not it's not a failing to have like a curve of quality over 10 volumes. Like you're gonna
Yes.
have dips. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, the fact that it's 10 volumes is my eternal enemy because when I bought them, they only printed, like, they didn't have volumes 2 and 5 in print.
Oh no.
So I have 8 volumes here, and I mean, I read the other two. There's ways to do that, but I actually wrote to Yen Press, I think. I was like, how can I get these 2 volumes? And they got back to me like, yeah, no, we're not printing those anymore.
Rip.
So this series is just forever incomplete.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That is, I'm kind of pissed at that. So
So
yeah,
I
buy it digitally if you want to buy it.
yes. I have all the volumes digitally, so yeah. That's how
Yeah.
I read it. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Um, I wouldn't say it's the best one on the list by most metrics, but I do think it's probably
No,
the
it
most.
might be the most consistent.
Yeah, it's the most consistent. I would agree.
Yeah.
Like again, a couple small dips in quality here and there, but overall, it's mostly pretty strong stuff.
Yeah,
And
I would agree with that.
and speaking of endings, I think this ends in the right place with the characters basically resolving their primary issues and
Yeah, that's
resolving to move
this
forward.
found a very natural endpoint to just go, and that's it.
I do like that the final volume also dedicates a lot of time to just like resolving any ambiguity. Like, oh no, these two are together romantically. These
Yeah,
is like
it really doesn't do the thing we will talk about in a bit, where it's like, well, maybe, probably, most likely, no. That it very much resolves all the romantic couplings and goes, no, no, that's what this is about.
basically the only one that's kept ambiguous is the volume 7
Yeah,
duo, and
and
like that's
that's
for good
that's their
reason.
thing.
That's for good
Yeah,
reason. Like it's probably for the best that the possibly incestuous pairing is like kept as a just a question mark rather than like
yeah,
committing
that's
to it.
that's
Because like
definitely for the best.
yeah, they're family. That's all that really needs to be said about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, but moving on from one of the most consistent series to probably the weakest one on here,
I would agree with that.
Our Wonderful Days.
Yeah, so I said Kazakhstan is the meat and potatoes Yuri, but this is actually the meat and potatoes Yuri. This is
No, this is the potato chip
as
Yuri.
yeah, this is as basic as it gets.
It's like very. I wouldn't call it bad necessarily. I would say it's very.
No.
I would say it's definitely the least substantive though.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think maybe a bit harsher put. It's not particularly interested in exploring itself. Like it's not like in the first chapter. Like I really liked the first chapter. I thought the
Mm-hmm.
first chapter was really really good. And in the first chapter, these two characters meet again. Like they were in like grade school together or something, and then one of them moved to Tokyo and now moved back out to the countryside, and they meet again and both go, "Hey, you haven't changed at all." And that's like that's a setup, right? In a normal story, this is a setup. That's they now figure out how the other one has changed and what that means for their friendship. But that
Yes.
never happens. It's just it. This manga does not care about that.
I will say there are some strong individual chapters here and there. Like the one
Yeah,
chapter I think in volume 1 where it's just the side duo just spending their day to day just like a
yeah.
normal day. That's a really good chapter. It's just slice of life
It is.
stuff and it's really neat.
And honestly, that's kind of an issue though, because this one really the side characters are much more interesting than the main characters.
What's funny is that too, like at the very end, like when they find out that the main couple have started dating, they're like, "Huh? Okay." And then it's like, "Wait, so you're not dating?"
Yeah, exactly. Like this. Yeah, I kind of. I'm not gonna say I struggled with this one because there's nothing to struggle through. It's so basic. But this one also didn't leave much of an impression. It's just very,
Uh, I
yeah,
get.
very surface level. Like you have the thing again, the two side characters live together, and one of them is clearly like the ideal Japanese wife, like does the cooking, the cleaning, and
Yeah,
everything.
the super
And
domestic type.
yeah, exactly. And the other one is lazy and doesn't do shit and whatever. Sure, like that's obviously again that's if not setup, that's coding for the couple. Like that's how that works. But literally in the next chapter, one of the side character has a crush on the teacher. It's like, what's going on here? Are you dating her or do you want to be dating the teacher? And then a chapter later, you get all the teachers getting together, and it's like, are they dating? I don't know what's happening. It's all very
I honestly, it would have been really cool if they just went whole hog and had the three older ladies all dating each other. That'd be really cool.
yes, Like
Just like
that would
just
have been
be out with
something.
it. Just come out and say it like, oh yeah, all three of them are dating each other. Cool, 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 cool,
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Like I think that is honestly the biggest weakness in this one. This one often just puts stuff out there and then does not explore it at all.
It does not explore it and it
Like
does not commit, which is definitely a fail.
yeah, like the black haired girl, Mafuyu.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the second volume, she's suddenly shy, but she was never shy before that. Like that was never an issue.
Yeah.
And like the first half of the second volume, her whole thing is I can't be in groups of people, and like that comes out of nowhere, and then it's gone again.
Mm-hmm.
But they needed that for this story arc because they needed to get the two out alone together. And it's like, what is happening? Why does none of this flow?
See,
But I
that's
think
an issue because you should not have to sacrifice character in order to get a story beat across.
no, exactly. Like the story should evolve from the characters, and you shouldn't press your characters into the story.
And if you need to press your characters into the story, do it with something organic, like another
Yeah,
character or an event.
yeah. Um, so yeah, this is definitely, I would agree, the weakest one on this list, and yeah, mostly because it's just so thoroughly uninterested in exploring what it sets up.
And it's also pretty unfocused.
Yeah, and like even when they get together in the penultimate chapter, it's kind of like, okay, this interaction was the one.
Yeah, it's not like super built up. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, and like they are not different with each other throughout the thing. Like they meet again, and then 13 chapters later they kiss, and it's like, okay, I guess. Like it was a sweet moment, but like taken out of context, it was a sweet moment. But within context, it just kind of happened.
Yeah. It's just like, come on, come on.
Yeah, I think again, I think the first chapter was really good and had potential to be much more. But as it turns out, it's just kind of there.
Yeah, it's a damn shame.
Yeah. Especially because again, the art is pretty nice. Like this look
Yeah, no, the
quite
artwork
good.
is excellent. I don't think there's a single series on here that has bad art. If I'm
I was
being
gonna say
honest.
like basically everything on here has good art, but some of them stand out as really good art. And yeah, the art almost reminded me of Whispered Words, which is probably still artwork-wise one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But yeah, this unfortunately the writing in this one really isn't up to snuff. If I'm honest about it.
Nah, dude, I get it. It is, like I said, weakest one here. But yeah, let's move on to something a bit shorter but a bit stronger too.
Absolutely.
Road Queen. Hey, another rival romance thing.
Yeah.
Having
And
a lot of
remember,
these.
yeah, remember when we talked about 5 seconds and I said they had a gimmick and they wanted to do that gimmick? So in Road Queen,
Yeah, I
they
think
had this gimmick and they really wanted to do that gimmick.
Road Queen, I think, handles it a little bit better.
Absolutely. Road Queen is really good, honestly. Like
It's very well focused and very well written. And also, the artwork is excellent, and you can absolutely believe it, that everyone at the school wants to bone down with either one of these two.
yes, definitely. Tonally, this is difficult to say because of everything that came after, but tonally this kind of reminded me of Gideon the Ninth.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. Yeah, yeah, you have the absolute disaster Butch himbo.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
have
also who's almost self-aware to the point of fourth wall breaking, but not
yes.
quite.
Yeah,
And yeah, but of course this one is a lot more lighthearted than
yeah.
that fucking cluster.
Oh god. We have to talk. We still haven't talked about Nona on stream.
Oh my
God.
god, at some point we'll have to do that, and my brain already hurts. Uh,
But yeah, I do
yeah, I
love
mean,
that the lead keeps getting called was it a lesbian fuckboy or something?
Yeah, exactly.
It's what she kind of is.
I mean, she is. It's just accurate. That's just accurate.
Hmm. She's absolute dumbass, but she's great. They're both
Yeah.
great. I love the
I was
dynamic
gonna
between
say
the two.
both of them. Like the dynamic is really good. The characters are really good. It's a really one. It's just one volume, but it's super fun. Like,
Yeah, it's the volume is basically focused on just these two, which helps a lot with keeping it from being bloated or too loose. Because it's all about these two developing a relationship with one another based off of a
honestly,
fun little
and
bet.
I say this without any value judgment. This almost didn't feel like a manga at all. This felt more Western to me in its structure and in its approach to
Hmm.
storytelling.
I do believe that technically it's written by a Korean author, not a
Yes, I think so too.
yeah,
But yeah, I honestly, it felt like an American comic to me.
yeah.
Like just in the way it's structured, it kind of
It's kind of Scott
almost.
Pilgrim-esque,
Yeah,
honestly.
I was gonna say it almost has this yeah, modern comic cartoon thing feeling about it. Uh, but again, like I'm not saying this to say this is bad or anything. Like
Oh,
on the
no.
contrary, that it's really good. It does what it does very well.
Hmm.
The art is cool, and also everyone's riding motorcycles all the time. That's nice.
Yeah. Nah, it's fun. It's fun. But yeah, hard to say much
It's just
else.
one volume. Like there's not much to say about it except it's really good and the characters are fun.
Yeah. Hey, it's only a single volume. You are not wasting your money getting this. This is a fun
Yeah,
time.
exactly. I think that's the thing with like short things like Road Queen or even like 3 volume things like maybe Hello Melancholic. Like we could probably do like a whole episode only on that, but then I'd have to reread it for the episode and like
Hmm.
go through it.
Like
But like in this
we could definitely
overview
do
format,
like longer discussions of definitely some of the longer stuff
yeah,
like Villainess or Kiss and White Lily, but like
yeah, of course, because there's just more of it. But like in this overview format, there's just not much to say about a long 1 volume thing. Like,
I mean, like I don't think we could like spend a whole 2 hour podcast on this one, but I still think we could spend a solid half an hour picking this one apart if we want to. We just have to reread
yeah,
it like right beforehand so we could,
yeah, I'd have to reread it, but I would like it's a good one.
Yeah.
No, but again, Road Queen really good, just 1 volume, basically low barrier of entry.
Yeah, it's a one and done and it's very good. Like and
Yep.
it ends on a pretty damn satisfying note too.
Yeah,
Like it's of the whole
I think that's what I meant when I said it almost felt Western to me. It's very punchy. It's very beat
it's
by beat by beat by beat. It's not. Yeah, it just feels like a modern comic.
yeah, it's concise. Concise is the word, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. But let's move on to something a bit more thematically dense.
Yeah, this one is honestly probably my actual favorite on this
Yeah.
list.
She loves to cook and she loves to eat.
And this one, much like Bloom Into You back in the day, kind of plays in its own league. I think it's just
It's definitely unique amongst the series we're discussing, not least because I'm pretty sure this is the only Josei one on the list.
I think so too.
I believe all
Yes.
the rest are either shoujo or shonen. Maybe one or two seinen, but
Yeah, I think a few of them are seinen, but like these days, the barrier between like late shonen and early seinen is so uh, it's not a very strict border anymore. So I think some of the shonen ones might qualify as seinen and the other way around.
mhm,
Uh, but yeah, no, this is a series about real life, like
mhm.
for real.
Yeah, it's a lot more grounded than anything else we've discussed so far.
Yeah, I think the best thing to say about it to give people an idea of how grounded this one is that the latest volume, I think that's the fourth one,
Yeah.
came like with a scientific annotations and sources list, and that's rare. But I think what isn't good about it? Everything is good about it. But I think what really works about it is that everything it talks about, basically every single thing, every single issue it goes into, it does through characters. Like it's never there is this thing. It's always this person is experiencing something, and that is like can be something positive, can be something negative, can be just them living their life. But yeah, I mean,
the series also does a lot of going into like how society's expectations of women can really hurt them.
yeah,
Like both on the lighter side with Namoto and her story, and on the much heavier side with Kasuga.
yeah. Yeah, but not only that, like even with the side characters.
Oh yeah,
like,
with the two.
we have
What was her name again? Blanking. Damn it.
yeah, I don't have the notes ready, unfortunately, but like we have extremely explicit asexual representation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also believe that Kasuga and Namoto are both on different parts of the demi spectrum.
Most likely,
Per
yes.
word of the author.
Yeah.
Here it is. Kasuga is demi-romantic and Nomoto is demisexual.
Yeah.
Which, interesting stuff. I do like Nomoto's friend because she is just so fun.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. And what was it? Now, that's who it was, the new neighbor.
Yeah. Who is heavy subject matter wise.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
But it's a great character, like
really good character, works. But yeah, holy shit. There's a lot of stuff to unpack
with some sort of eating disorder. It's all I'm gonna say because I'm just not.
It's hard to be certain about the details of it, but yeah.
Yeah. I also just don't know enough to respectfully talk about it, so I'm just gonna leave it at struggles with some form of eating disorder, but the thing goes into it. Like you go out of it more educated than you were before.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think we talked about it last time, and it was a bit of a slow burn then, but now they are officially dating, and much like Kazu-san, but much more real, looking to get an apartment.
Yeah.
And that's kind of exemplary of what the manga does, because they, like, in talking about that, they shout out like a real estate agency that kind of specifically caters to queer people, and I looked that up. Like that's real. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really like about it. It's very, very, very grounded. It very much like when I'm in love with the villainess, which I adore, talks about these things. It's always in a very like philosophical way.
Yeah.
Like, well, people should be left alone, and it should be like this, and I love that. I adore I'm in love with the villains.
It's Villainous does a lot about the ideas, whereas this is much more grounded.
Yeah, this is very concrete. Like, queer people in Japan have these issues, and when there is a fix, it tells you about the fix, but often it's just how they deal with it, because there is no fix. Like, the system's broken.
Mm-hmm.
And the author is very outspoken. Like they're very active on social media and always do like art for Pride Month and stuff.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. So like it's obviously, and you can see it's close to their heart. It's important to them, and it's to me very obvious that the author is a queer person in a society that isn't particularly accommodating to queer people. But yeah, again, it's not just about queer people. It's just about people struggling.
And people and communities.
Yeah, and exactly, like it's not about the struggle of the people. It's about struggling people coming together to not struggle anymore
Yes,
and to help
exactly.
each other. And like that's the thing. It's very heavy thematically speaking,
Mhm.
but I would say it comes down on the side of being overall a very optimistic series.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's a series that very much likes food.
Absolutely, it's food porn to the max.
Yes.
Not fun to read when you're hungry.
I my thing, like when I was reading this, I had been all I had been watching Delicious in Dungeon for a while by the point I got around to it. So every time I got to one of the dish presentation scenes, I just
God
hear
damn
that
it.
sting from the anime
Yeah.
every damn time. It's like, God damn it, Dungeon Meshi, why you do this to me?
Yeah. Yeah, for a time I was jumping between reading this and reading Laid Back Camp, which is also a
Mm.
food porn series, and it's like, God damn it.
Too bad Laid Back Camp doesn't qualify for Yuri.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it would be great if it did. Like, I totally ship it, but
The
also I
subtext
kind
is
of.
there, but like,
I
yeah,
mean, the subtext is absolutely there, but I kind of like that it just doesn't go into it at all.
it doesn't
Like,
need
not
to.
even. Yeah, that's not what it's about. Like, it's not even. It doesn't even deflect. There's not even like, yeah, they kind of have boyfriends, but we don't care because it's about camping. It doesn't matter. Not
There,
what Laid Back Camp is about.
I mean, male characters just don't
Sure.
really exist in laid back camp all that much
Yeah, like
outside of
they have like
relatives.
yeah, they have like fathers and grandfathers, and that's it.
Yeah, it's very
Uh,
funny.
yeah, it's one of those. But no, back to She Loves to Cook. I think it just yeah, as I said, what I really like about it is that it is positive in the face of adversity, for lack of a better term. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't shy away from places where I'm not even singling out queer people, but just where non-conforming people are struggling.
Yeah.
But it, as you said, it's about the community and it's about coming together and about how people improve the lives of other people. And it's not about wallowing in like self-pity or just wallowing in the suffering. It's more about moving forward and more about
Mm-hmm.
actually making things better. And I really, really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And also, it's just well written. Like, all the characters are super fun and good and believable. It also helps that it's like not about school children who I can't relate to at all, but it's about people in their like late 20s, early 30s.
It helps a lot to have an adult cast. Like
Yeah.
looking at the list, let's see. One of the first one is about like an immortal witch, and
I mean,
yeah,
it's fantasy thing,
that's
so
fantasy. That doesn't really relate to modern
yeah.
day. Uh,
Catch
actually,
these hands. Yeah.
that one is about adults, but they're like
That one is about adults, but they're childish
early
adults.
20s. Like,
Which is the story. Like
yeah,
they grow up in the story, but
yeah.
eh.
Dear No Man
And
is no, that's not
nope.
adults.
Nope. The guy she was
Not
interested in,
adults,
nope.
not adults. I'm
Nope.
in love with the villainess. I
I
suppose
mean,
they're adults by
oh,
societal definitions of where they live, but like,
yeah,
they're still
but
like
they're kind of
not even
not.
20 by the time the series
Yeah,
ends.
exactly. Exactly.
Kaze-san, they are adults now.
Nope.
That's good.
I mean, yeah, they are now adults, but again, also early 20s at best, like they are 18, 19, I think.
Yeah. Kaze-san, Kiss and White Lily,
Jason White
that's
Lily, nope.
entirely in high school.
Yeah, Our Wonderful Days, nope.
Road
I mean,
Queen, no.
Road Queen is, I guess, ambiguous, but no, because everyone's a fuckboy.
Yes.
It doesn't act like
This is
no.
the only series that focuses like primarily on adults.
Yeah.
And we don't really get a lot of a romance anime in or manga in general, really, that do that. Like,
Yeah.
it is like I want to say like
There was.
at minimum 60% is like high school or younger
Yeah,
focused.
probably more. Like I felt there was like a short phase a few years ago where there was a bit more,
Yeah, like
where you get
around like
stuff
with
like
Wodakoi
O
and
Junkie
stuff.
and Waterkoi, yeah.
But yeah.
But that
We
like
still I remember A Sign of Affection coming out last season and being like, "Oh my god, they're college students. Thank God
yeah,
it's adults." Ah,
absolutely. And even there, like the main girl was like what 18?
18, 19, yeah. Again, they're
Yeah,
college students, but they're still young.
yeah. But at least they are not children.
Yes,
That's
exactly. But like, it's nice to have series focused on adults because
Yeah.
so often
I
it's
mean,
like,
I get it. The market is mostly younger people, so it's catering to them, sure. But yeah,
but
it's
like,
just refreshing to see things about people I can like whose struggles I can more relate to.
in this season of anime, there's like maybe a handful of series that are about like actual adults, like half a
Yeah.
dozen or so, and everything else is like mostly teenagers or just like
I mean,
incredibly fantastical nonsense.
yeah. And as I said, I get it. Like that's normal. That's where the money is. That's what the
Yes.
market is. But I'm not even saying they should make more things about adults because again, no one would buy those. But it's just
Well, no,
refreshing
I
when you
do
get
think
one
there
that's
should be more
also
things
good.
about adults, about adult characters in like
I mean,
anime.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that, but I'm not expecting it.
Like it says a lot that I can only think of two shonen anime with like actual like grown ass men as protagonists rather than like men like over 20 as the protagonist.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And even there, I mean, you kind of got to look for things like, I mean, sure, technically Dragon Ball Z is about people who are adults, but
yeah, that's
also
just
it's
because
Dragon
it
Ball. What
grew
the
up
fuck?
with the
Yeah.
characters and
Yeah,
audience.
and also, like, it's Dragon Ball. What the fuck am I, like,
Yeah,
okay, but they
only
don't really have relatable struggles, you know?
the only recent one I can think of is Kaiju number 8, and that's because the protagonist is in his 30s. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, his knees disintegrated on him standing up. I can relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe G-Witch got kind of close because the age range of people I would consider important to the story was so
Broad.
wide.
Yeah. But it
Yeah,
wasn't the
so I mean, of course,
protagonists.
of course, the protagonists are
Teenagers.
like I don't know, late teens, but yeah. Anyway,
Tangent
I mean,
done.
I guess
Tangent done.
I guess we could talk about G-Witch, but
G-Witch isn't a manga, though.
yeah, exactly. It's not a manga, so another time maybe. I
Perhaps.
also hear it's up to the audience's interpretation. Uh,
Look, every time a suit does something
uh,
stupid like that, I want to launch them out a window.
yeah, no, absolutely. But that was definitely one of the stupider ones of the last year, I think.
It was literally like the weekend before, like, they put out the whole album thing, and it
Yeah,
was like full of wedding illustrations and all that
yeah,
shit. It's like, yeah,
it was one
sure,
of the
open to
most
interpretation.
insane pandering moves I've ever seen by a corporate. Like, Jesus Christ, that was
Wasn't the
stupid.
most pandering move, it was definitely the most unhinged and stupid pandering move.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it was just the pandering was so far removed from the product it was about.
It's kind of funny, honestly.
Yeah,
But yes, this one, excellent series. Highly recommend it.
yeah, really good.
Four
Still
volumes out
ongoing,
in
but
English at this point, but
absolutely read it. It's again probably the best one on this list. Definitely my favorite.
easy top three. Easy top three.
And
Especially if we're
also,
not counting continuing series, it's probably the best one.
yeah, and also kind of hard to compare all the others to because it's just so different in tone
Mm-hmm.
and approach.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on to the final series, which is also a carryover from last time.
Yes.
Whisper Me a Love Song. This one's oddly topical because the anime adaptation started a couple months ago, and
It's struggling.
yeah, it's struggling.
Yeah.
I really wish the studio handled it better. I really do. But
Yeah, I mean,
nothing
it's
we
two
can
for
really.
two on this list with people with things that got anime adaptations that should have been better.
Is Bloom really like Bloom and I think Magical Revolution are the only two adaptations I think were handled really well by like production
Yeah.
values wise.
I mean, I guess you could say Kazu-san, though that's
Kaze-san
an
was great,
OVA,
but that
so
was an
that's kind of
OVA.
a different beast. Yeah, it's not really comparable to a full season core.
Yeah, it's
But
just
yeah, let's honestly let's just ignore the anime. It's
the manga is superior in every way, and you should read the
yeah,
manga even if you do like the anime.
as adaptations go, it's a pretty faithful adaptation, I guess,
A
but
little
not
bit speedy, but otherwise, yeah, it's pretty
yeah.
faithful.
but almost faithful to the point of detriment. Like it's almost like they took the manga to make storyboards from instead of like actually adapting.
Yeah.
And
I believe
that's
volumes 6 through 8 came out in English in the past year, and
yeah.
good. Let
I
me actually
think you're right.
double check because I want to be sure. Yeah, volumes 6 through 8, and all of them were excellent. Volume 6 was mostly was pretty heavily focused on our main couple and them finally having their first kiss, which was delightful.
Yes. Very sweet.
And then we started going into Shiho and Aki and all their shenanigans.
Yeah. And boy.
That backstory is fucking heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy and it's well done,
Mm-hmm.
but I also would lie if I said it wasn't something I had seen quite a lot before.
Yeah, I'm not
I mean,
shocked.
it's well done. Like I'm not gonna say it's bad or anything, but it's honestly nothing new. Which isn't a crime. Like
what's
many of these things on the list, which I love, are nothing new.
what's funniest to me about it is like heterosexuality is such a foreign concept that even the posthumous character it was also
Yeah, no.
a lesbian.
Everyone's
Everyone in this series is
gay.
fucking gay. At least everyone that matters.
Yeah. Like Hina's school friend girl is not gay, but she stopped appearing somewhere around volume 5, I think.
Look, if we do see Himari's friend again, it'll probably
Yeah.
be like revolving around her either coming to terms with not having a love interest or finding a love interest. Let's be real.
Gonna be her learning something about herself.
Mm-hmm. Like we have 4 different couples or potential couples in this
Just
current
gonna be
story.
like a behind the scenes thing of her like, what? Me too?
Yep. Look, there's at least one couple per band.
Yeah. And Shio and Aki, like the between the two bands.
Yeah,
And
that's also a rival man's basically at this point.
yeah. Which
God.
yeah, again, it's not something we haven't seen before, but it's done well enough. I will say, like that's totally a me thing. That is not a strike against Whisper or anything else that does this, because many things do this. I'm just generally not a huge fan of the I'm in love with her, but we're friends and I'm not gonna risk that. And then the love interest, like I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
I think Bloom did it really well because there it was rooted in the characters.
Yeah. Not to mention Sayaka was like an insecure mess.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, I don't know, have you read the Sayaka novels?
I have not. I need to.
I would absolutely recommend them because they kind of also go into that, obviously.
Yeah.
And like for example, I don't think Whisper Me a Love Song does it as well as Bloom. It does it well enough, but it's just again, as I said, a
You're
storyline
kind of
I'm not
comparing it to
super
Bloom,
fond of.
though. Come on.
Yeah, that's not fair. Again, that's not a fair comparison. I get that, which is why I say this is not a strike against Whisper Me a Love Song. That is just a me thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is not really something I'm super into. But I will also say, in the manga, like not in the anime, but in the manga, we have basically moved past that.
Yeah. Also,
because
I do.
That was the whole that was Aki's thing with what's her name? God damn it.
Shiho, or
No, not
or
Shiho.
or Yori.
Yeah, Yori, exactly. So yeah, the manga has moved past that, and I'm fine with that. It's just something I'm.
Yeah.
Like,
Right
it
now,
kind of
it's
came
kind
back
of
up.
in a will they, won't
like,
they thing with Shiho and Aki at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, I presume they will.
Hopefully.
It's that kind of manga. It's,
like, they have the foundations for an interesting relationship, for sure.
Like, someone needs to fucking lock them in a room.
Y'all are not getting out of here until you sort through your shit.
Exactly.
It's so funny, like, we have a couple of side couples, and they're all just, like, super hunky-dory at this point. And it's like...
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Shiho and Aki are over here with all their fucking drama.
Yeah. Like, as someone who's been reading Yuri for quite some time now, it's really funny to me. Like, some years ago, you would have like your dedicated side couple who's only there so we can have 3 chapters about them in the last volume. And like a good portion of the story would be dedicated to basically gay panic.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
that's
not the
just
case
dead.
here.
That does not, that does not happen anymore. It's 2024. Everyone's gay. It's fine.
Yeah. Also, like, I do love that the main couple just gets together pretty fucking smoothly in 3 volumes, and the rest of it is just like them trying to figure out how their relationship will work.
I will say something. I wanted to ignore the anime, but it's kind of like it has just been the catalyst for me thinking about this series in a different way. And I will say it's kind of funny. Like, the reason they don't get together instantly is basically that Himari is super dense.
Mm-hmm.
But once the Aki Shiho thing starts, Himari is incredibly emotionally intelligent.
Yes. I think it's just because, like, a self-awareness thing.
Yeah, of course. Like, it works. Like, it's not a thing where you read it and like, where does this come from? It's just in hindsight when you go back to the beginning. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's
How
like
did you put
she
this
is
together?
incredibly dense when it comes to herself. She is a lot more
Yeah,
astute when it comes to other people.
exactly. Which honestly isn't that far from how you and Bloom into You works, but
Mm-hmm.
again, not a fair comparison.
I mean,
Um,
it's not like it's unprecedented in real life either.
no, and I will say, like, again, not throwing shade, but Whisper Me a Love Song, especially in the first arc and setup, borrows heavily from Bloom into You.
I mean, borrow from the best if you're gonna borrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, and not throwing shade. It's just a thing I realized both when reading it and also when watching the anime,
Mm-hmm.
what's out of the anime so far. And yeah, of course, if you're gonna take from the best, it's not a bad thing at all. It's just something you notice. But no, yeah, we are currently in the side character arc, I guess.
Honestly,
Uh,
I do feel like we are getting Yori and Himari stuff alongside this, which helps.
yeah, it's definitely more intertwined, and
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's where the setup of how the characters relate to each other kind of works into its advantage.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention
Because
the Aki and the Shiho stuff injects a lot more drama because Yori and
yeah,
Himari are very fluffy and wholesome with each other, and they just have a
yeah,
very nice relationship.
basically, basically, Yori and Himari are in Kaze-san,
Yeah.
and no one else. Everyone else is in Whisper Me a Love Song.
Yeah. Look, the Yori and Himari are a nice cup of hot chocolate.
Yeah,
Aki and Shiho are a cup of highly spiced coffee.
pretty much. Yeah.
Like, it's very funny. I wouldn't call it toxic Yuri because we have not really gotten much in the way of toxic Yuri here. If you want
No,
toxic
not really.
Yuri, read The Locked Tomb.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But yeah, I also just like I find the series just utterly delightful between its character its, excellent ensemble of characters and
Yeah.
just the beautiful artwork. Holy shit!
Yeah, it looks really good.
Which is
It's.
another travesty of the anime, but let's not talk
I
about
was
that.
gonna say it's an unfortunate truth when you watch the anime. But honestly, again, like it's like other things on this list. Just don't watch the anime. Like you're fine just reading it, and
Yeah.
if you already
If you
really like it,
want
then you
to,
can watch the anime.
just cue up the soundtrack. The soundtrack is something you can
Yeah.
listen to while you read the manga. But
I think I said that last time. Like that was the most interesting thing to me, almost about the anime, is how do they handle the music, and so far they've handled it pretty well.
I will say, like the Lorelei
Songs are
song fucking
generally bangers.
slaps.
Yeah, that was definitely a banger.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. Uh, the song's good. I really wish the anime had better production values, but the manga is still
Yeah,
excellent on its own, and it's highly worth reading. Would 100% recommend this.
absolutely.
Honestly, the only
It's
series on this list that I would recommend really is Our Wonderful Days, because that
yeah,
one's
Our Wonderful Days is one. If you're really, really, really into Yuri stuff and need a fix, like if you don't have anything else to read, check it out. It's not terrible,
it's probably
but everything else on this list is better.
but yeah, let me just put up the list and take this down. There we go. Oh god, I need to move that. There we go. Okay. But yeah. So those are the 12 manga we covered this time. Probably only gonna have one or a couple carryovers into the next one, but otherwise we are going to
Yeah.
try to get some new series again, and it will be.
Yeah, exactly.
I have one in mind that will probably break me, but I'm going to put on that list anyways.
Oh no, I gotta read that shit too.
Yeah, but don't worry, Lore. We'll suffer together.
Oh,
I
great.
don't know if you know what the series is, but you'll find
I don't
out.
know yet. I'm sure I'll find out.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah,
no, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to doing this again next year. I think it's always kind of fun, especially just to read things I wouldn't have read otherwise.
yeah, no, that it definitely motivates me to read these series because like,
Yeah,
oh, I have a deadline to read these by. I kind of
I
wanted to
was
check these
I was
out
gonna
before.
say I kind of like that we don't really talk about what we put on the list. We just both put stuff on the list
Mm-hmm.
because that kind of, yeah, again, that incentivizes me to read things I probably wouldn't have checked out otherwise.
There is one
Uh,
classic series I can't believe we've missed up till now that I'm probably gonna have to put on the list at some point. Unless, did we talk about girlfriends in our first one?
I think we talked about girlfriends in the first one.
Right, we did. We did. Because that one's a fucking classic.
Yeah, it's also pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Have we? Okay, while we're on classics, have we talked about what's it called? Sweet Blue Flowers?
I don't know.
Because that's another classic, but I don't think it's very good.
I hmm. If we did, I don't think I read much of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can throw it on next year, or maybe we don't. I
We don't
don't think it's
have
very
to
good.
talk about all the classics. We just need to
Yeah,
talk
that's the
about.
thing. Like, honestly, this to me, this isn't really about talking about the classics because like people will find the classics when they go look for Yuri stuff. This is more talking about stuff that people might have missed.
Some of this is a lot of this is on the newer side as well. Like some of these are currently
Exactly.
ongoing
Yeah.
series.
I think like if we struggle to fill the list, like if we end up with like 5 things, we can throw a few classics in there. But
Yeah, exactly.
I think what we could also do, like I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but we could like revisit things and see if they hold up.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd save that for a later edition though, because I do want to at least spend
Yeah,
a few of
absolutely.
these going over newer stuff to us, or stuff
Yeah.
that we
Like
want to like haven't discussed on these, but want to revisit
no, as I
personally.
said, like generally I think we should do our best to just fill the list with new-ish things, or at least things we haven't talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, if for some reason we struggle, I mean, honestly, this list. Another reason I like doing these is that these lists show that there's good new things coming out. Because I don't think we've ever talked about anything that was outright bad.
Ah, yes, we did have girlfriends on the first one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But yes,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I guess we'll
Oh,
do
we
this
also
again
had
next.
Sweet Blue Flowers on the first one. Okay.
Oh, we did. Well, then we don't need to.
Yeah. Anyways, thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. In terms of future stuff, we do streams on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. Uh, please give us a follow here on Twitch and on YouTube. Just leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment, and press that bell icon, please. Uh, all that said, hope to see you next time. Later.
Bye.